Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Swearing-in ceremonies were held Thursday for two members of the governor's cabinet. Darice Plaskett officially became the commissioner for the Department of Health, and Ruben Malloy is officially the director for the Bureau of Information Technology. News 2's Erica Parsons has more from the ceremony.
Governor DeYoung, I humbly accept the opportunity you have given me to serve the people of the Virgin Islands.
Friends, family, and colleagues watched as the Department of Health and Bureau of Information Technology officially got new leadership.
I, Ruben D. Malloy,
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States.
Health Commissioner Darice Plaskett and Bureau of Information Technology Director Ruben Malloy were tapped for the positions in September by Governor DeYoung, and at the ceremony they laid out plans for their respective agencies.
I look forward to implementing the vision that I have for BIT. That vision is driven by the goal of deploying innovative technology solutions to improve government efficiency, reduce the cost of government operations. I look forward to changing the culture of computing for the U.S. Virgin Islands government, enabling employees to provide first-rate services to the people of the United States Virgin Islands.
I would do my best to use my knowledge and experience to keep the department focused on its responsibility to improve the health and quality of life through public health interventions to protect, prevent, and promote healthy behaviors and lifestyles.
In addition to taking the oath of office, Lieutenant Governor Gregory Francis gave both cabinet heads a blueprint for them to follow, what he described as the plans they each outlined before senators during their confirmation hearings last month. Erica Parsons, News 2.
Now, Plaskett and Malloy were both confirmed by the Senate Rules Committee in October and confirmed by the full body on November 19th. Well, it's been a week since 20 students and 6 teachers were tragically shot and killed at an elementary school in Newtown, Connecticut. On Friday, the nation honored the victims with a moment of silence, and teachers also used the day to discuss the incident with students. News 2's Alison Bourne-Vanek has more on how the territory honored the victims and recognized the tragedy.
9:30 Eastern Time on Friday was especially quiet throughout the entire nation. Exactly 1 week ago, 20 elementary students and 6 teachers were gunned down in Newtown, Connecticut, and Friday was a day to honor the victims that were tragically lost.
This morning, Principal Ms. Simmer Brown rang the bell, and we were supposed to take a moment of silence in observance of what happened in Sandy Hook Elementary School.
Governor John DeYoung Jr. requested a moment of silence at all of the territory's public institutions to honor the victims in Newtown, Connecticut. In addition to a moment of silence, teachers across the nation were asked to spend about 30 minutes discussing the tragedy with students.
I asked them if they remember, did they hear about the incident last week that took place in Connecticut, and some of them told me yes. And I talked to them a little about it, and I said how it affected me as a parent, because I have a child too, and how it affected me as a teacher, because I'm a teacher here, first grade teacher, and I also teach 6- and 7-year-old children.
And while schools in the territory took a moment of silence to honor the victims in Newtown, Connecticut, one public school was on high alert this week after a parent threatened to shoot school personnel. The threat was made against school staff at Gladys Abraham Elementary.
Well, I think what we want to make clear is that as educators and as the custodians of other people's children, we're not going to tolerate threats loosely, lightly. Parents have a tendency sometimes to want something, and when they can't get it, they react with threats of violence. And I think in light of Sandy Hook and just looking at educators as professionals, we're not going to tolerate this.
It's a school on high alert like many others now in the U.S., and all are hoping that what happened at Sandy Hook Elementary never happens again. Alison Bourne-Vanek, News 2.
Now, the governor also asked that places of worship and government buildings, where possible, to ring their bells 26 times in honor of each victim. And in response to the Connecticut school shooting, many are talking about gun control and introducing additional legislation, not excluding the Virgin Islands. Gun control continues to remain a heated topic, and whether you're for it, against it, or somewhere in between, everyone seems to have a take on the issue. News2's Erica Bivens brings us this story.
Act number 7091, the 2009 amendment to the gun law, already bans automatic weapons in the territory. However, Senator Samuel Sanders says there is more we can do.
Unfortunately, because of this past tragedy in the mainland with all these beautiful young children, I have some legislation, some ideas that I've been bouncing off some people in the community and also some of my fellow senators in order to perhaps prevent this type of tragedy from happening here.
No details on what that legislation might entail as of yet, but is additional legislation really necessary? Some say yes, others no, and for many others, they're somewhere in between.
And I'm all in favor of review of the firearm laws with regards to some of the tragedies that have happened recently.
I don't believe that there needs to be any additional laws associated with gun control in the Virgin Islands. We actually have some of the strictest firearms legislation on the books.
Matthew Mahaffey is a firearms instructor. He says we need to look deeper into the issue and suggests two things to help prevent tragedies: having a safe and ensuring background checks are done.
You have the responsibility to keep your firearms out of unauthorized hands. It's as simple as that.
Ed Trupp sells ammunition, and he says even with background checks,
unfortunately, the firearms still get into this island illegally.
What other solutions are there?
One of the big misconceptions that we have is not to teach our children about firearms. We don't want to teach them about firearms. So then who is left to teach them? Movies, video games. This doesn't work.
I think everybody's trying real hard, except that this, for every law that's passed, there's someone who's trying to get around it.
With no clear-cut yes or no, right or wrong, gun control is a controversial topic that will perhaps continue to have some shades of gray. For News 2, I'm Erica Bivens.
Meanwhile, the National Rifle Association is talking for the first time since the shooting in Newtown, Connecticut. The NRA has been criticized by lawmakers and members of the public who want stricter gun control laws. Danielle Nottingham is in Washington with the latest.
The head of the National Rifle Association faced the media for the first time since the deadly school shooting in Connecticut. He says gun control is not the answer.
The only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
NRA CEO Wayne LaPierre is calling on the government to place an armed police officer at every school in the nation.
To make sure that blanket safety is in place when our kids return to school in January.
LaPierre's speech was interrupted several times by demonstrators.
NRA has blood on its hands.
NRA, stand down.
Demonstrators also gathered outside to protest.
They want to turn us into a bunker mentality and a bunker society.
The NRA is addressing the media here in Washington under pressure to soften its stance on gun control. Members of the public and the president are pushing for new restrictions on gun sales.
A gun control petition on the White House website has received more than 400,000 signatures.
We hear you.
The president acknowledged the outpouring of support, and he once again called on Congress to pass new legislation.
If there's even one thing we can do as a country to protect our children, we have a responsibility to try.
The president has asked the NRA to join a broad effort to reduce gun violence, which includes looking at mental health care. But the White House is pushing for a bill that bans assault weapons, something the NRA opposes. Danielle Nottingham, News 2.
Keeping our eye on the economy, stocks are sharply lower as the economy inches closer to the fiscal cliff with no budget deal in Washington. Lawmakers have 10 days to hammer out an agreement or taxes will go up on nearly every American, and government programs will be hit with steep spending cuts. Americans earned more, spent more, and saved more last month. The Commerce Department says consumer spending rose 0.4%, while incomes jumped 0.6%. The biggest gain in nearly a year, and the savings rate inched up to 3.6%. This is a New York Stock Exchange Scotiabank Stock Market Watch. The Dow down 120, Nasdaq 29, S&P 13. Coming up on News 2, board members of the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority have approved a $9.9 million contract to implement an advanced metering infrastructure, or AMI system. How will this technology help the average consumer? members of the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority have approved a $9.9 million contract to implement an advanced metering infrastructure or AMI system. The approval will allow a company named Tantalusitron to provide new technology that will overall improve WAPA's current operation. News2's Janisha John brings us this story.
The future for the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority will be one that's technologically advanced, as board members met on Thursday and approved a $9.9 million contract to upgrade WAPA's current metering system to an advanced one known as AMI, contracting Tantalus Itron to provide the new technology.
With Tantalus, we're able to accomplish electric AMI, we're able to accomplish water AMI, and we're able to solve all of our distribution automation challenges.
The AMI system will overall improve WAPA's current operations, from monitoring meters and reducing theft and line loss to more accurate meter reads and an improved billing process.
I am so excited about this program. This is such a leap forward, and it's been something that we've been working on for quite some time, both in funding and in implementation. This is a leap into the 21st century for WAPA.
WAPA will also invest an additional $4 million for an automated meter infrastructure that will allow WAPA to perform inter-island and remote functions, such as reading a meter from the office instead of on the field.
Both districts the ability to see what's going on, fail over. If there is a catastrophic events in either district, we can utilize redundancy in the opposing district.
Smart devices that talk to each other. So we have a fault on a line, the two devices see the fault, they open switches, isolate that segment, power everybody back up before you could even call an employee to leave the house or whatever. So it's that type of smart system that's way ahead of any system you'll see anywhere.
Though the project will affect some personnel, WAPA officials say that the current meter readers will be trained to be placed in other departments to ensure an overall support for the state-of-the-art system. Janisha John, News 2.
The annual Breakfast with Santa took place last Saturday at Eudora High School. The event is sponsored by Rotary East on St. Thomas and included a free gift and even pictures with Santa.
It's our annual Breakfast with Santa, where all the Rotarians in the club come together to cook and to serve a pancake breakfast to young people in the community. And we always do it at Eudora High School in the cafeteria here to benefit some of the programs at the school. We'll help the music department. In the past, we've helped the swim team. We've helped the various extracurricular activities more than things that are supported by the government.
Nice turnout there. St. Croix residents are gearing up for a festive weekend as the 60th Crucian Christmas Festival kicks off its Christiansted Mini Village opening this Friday night. The Mini Village will be open for the entire weekend with Coney Island rides and 3 nights of live entertainment, starting tonight with performances by Digital Band, Jamal and Crew, and Pumpa and the Unit. Residents can also look forward to the All-Time Night Parade on Saturday at 6:30 p.m. starting at Market Square and leading into the Mini Village. You can visit www.stxfestival.com for more festival events. Stick around, your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.